Former Assistant U.S. Attorney Andrew McCarthy and Fox News political analyst Gianna Caldwell. Gentlemen, it's good to see you tonight. Thanks for joining us. Gianna, what did you make of the NAACP story, Gianna?
Immediately, I thought it was shameful when I digged right into the details. What most folks need to understand is the NAACP has been a premier organization for the advancement of African Americans, especially you look at the name, National Association for the Advancement of African Americans, and now what we're seeing them do is become a political organization for the advancement of the Democratic Party. It is shameful, it is a stunt, but it has real ramifications. You got 3.3 million Black folks that live within the state of Florida. If you're a Black business owner with employees, it's the #1 state for doing business. And this could potentially be a lance to the slaughter scenario with the NAACP inflicting real harm onto Black people whom they claim to care about in favor of Democrats. It's shameful. It's sad, and they need to change leadership after a decision like this was made.
So what Gianna just said, Andrew, it's good to see you. Let's watch an MSNBC guest call Florida a terrorist state after she went on spring break there. And by the way, the chair of the NAACP, again, we should point out, lives in Tampa, Florida. Watch this.
And I really appreciate the NAACP's guidance on this issue. You know, I just took my family to spring break in Florida recently, and I think about all of the folks who traveled there for sun and joy and peace and restoration. And to be reminded that actually this is getting to the point where Florida is about to be a terrorist state to many of us here in America.
Florida does lead the nation in the number of Black-owned businesses, more than 15,000 according to the state. Many of them rely on tourism. I'm wondering if you think this travel advisory may inadvertently harm them.
And Pew Research, Andrew, says Florida has the biggest Black immigrant population, more than half a dozen states combined. So, Andrew, was this another political dirty trick or a political stunt or ploy to ruin DeSantis' 2024 announcement?
Well, I don't think it can ruin it, Liz. I don't think anybody's paying much attention to this. Frankly, if the NAACP wanted to do something helpful, what they might do is turn their attention to New York City or Philadelphia or Chicago or St. Louis or one of the many cities in this country that is controlled by Democratic governments and where Black communities are facing a surge in crime because of the lack of policing and lack of law enforcement. That would be something the NAACP could do that would actually be helpful, but I wouldn't hold my breath waiting for that.
Yeah, what Andrew just said, Gianna, should there be a travel advisory for out-of-control crime in Chicago, Baltimore, New York, San Francisco, Seattle? What do you think?
I think when you consider a high rate of crime victims being Black in the city of Chicago, I think that would make sense. Or even as an organization, you're supposed to work with Democrats and Republicans. That's because you're looking to advance the agenda of African Americans, but this one-sided, we're going to hang on the side of the Democratic Party, therefore we're going to attack the governor of Florida, just is a dog that won't hunt. It's just insane. It's asinine.
So given what Gianna just said, Andrew, are we going to see even more political dirty tricks and stunts and ploys like this? First, we had Trump's indictment by the Manhattan DA on an expired statute of the statute of limitations that expired on that business record violation involving the Stormy Daniels payout. The Antony Blinken helping to orchestrate the letter from 51 intelligence officials falsely claiming the Hunter Biden laptop was Russian disinformation. The Durham probe finding the FBI never should have launched Trump Russia. What do you make? Do you think you're going to see more political tricks? What do you think?
Yeah, I would see no reason why you wouldn't. I mean, what we've seen in the last number of years is that components of the government, particularly the law enforcement and intelligence side, have been leveraged by mainly by Democratic governments, and we now have an incumbent Democratic government, but certainly by the bureaucracy, even when Trump was in office. That apparatus of the government has been put into service of Democratic Party politics. So since they've gotten away with it and it's helped them a great deal, I don't see any reason to think that they'd stop. I think the only silver lining here is, you know, we're onto it because we've seen it now enough times.
That's a great point. Gianna, excellent points too. Gianna and Andrew, thanks for joining us tonight. It's good to see you.